So, hello all. We have only 15 minutes again to go through the other foots like we did with other things, so I'm going to do this as best as I can. Alright. So again, with Bradbury, the literary devices, all of them touch on each other. Okay, they all work together to create a really effective story. So at some points, you may have been repeating the same thing, but for a different purpose. Now the characters are going to be Willie, his wife Hattie, and the old white man at the end. Those would be the three most important ones. But you could also add the children, I suppose, if you want to look at a series of dynamics and conflicts. So Willie and his wife Hattie are there to show the two sides of the story when it comes to what's happening and the anger towards these white people that are coming to Mars. And they create an interesting dynamic, a bit of a yin and a yang. One, Willie, out for revenge, and his wife who's trying to calm him down. The white man comes at the end, the old white man. I think it's significant that it is an old white man and not a young white man. That this old man is near death, tired, aged, just like the culture that he is representing, in this case segregationist, racist culture of the context when the story was written. How did they contribute to the theme of the story? Well, first we need to understand the theme, which goes back to the title, The Other Foot. So Bradbury is bringing us into the shoes, into the worldview of two African Americans and their family, and having the reader experience how they feel, either Willie's anger or Hattie's attempts to calm him down, as well as finally the white man at the end that basically just explains that the earth is no more. It contributes to the theme of the story because the other foot, literally, we are living in the other foot of these characters. We're seeing and understanding and experiencing and narrating from their point of view, and that's very similar to The Highway. Our main characters are two African Americans on Mars in the future, and again for Bradbury that's very significant when it comes to basically getting the reader to see things from a different perspective, to have the shoe on the other foot. What happens in the story? Well, it's pretty much old school summary, as I mentioned. The ending is significant. When basically, again, we have this typical Bradbury ... when they get off the planet, when they get off the ship, of what's going to happen. But we do get a new beginning. There's opportunity now on Mars for people to behave better than they did on Earth, which is absolutely destroyed. And we end, of course, with Willie finally, realizing that there's really no point left in hating. Everything that he hated is gone. And the climax occurs when the white man lands on Mars, and this meeting then that resolves itself into the end. Now the genre, as I mentioned a few times, of science fiction is that this is a future that is used to make us reflect on our present. Mars also signifies something entirely new, a whole new planet that Earth, of course, is our current planet, but there's a new hope. There's something new there that isn't here. And so even though throughout much of the story we get Willie wanting to kind of recreate things the way that they were on Earth from the opposite point of view, but in the ending, really, Mars does become something new for people. How does it help the theme? Well, this something new, a brand new start, and additionally this future allows the reader to reflect on the present, put themselves in the other foot, the other shoe. How does the genre contribute to the story? Well, this is not taking place on Earth. Earth is absolutely destroyed in this story over here, so it contributes to the story by bringing the reader somewhere else outside of Earth, where we have these symbols or memories of the hanging tree, etc. Okay, that's even here one of the pictures. Okay, this hanging tree. These symbols are all gone, and it influences the reader by allowing us to imagine this other world, by seeing another world, by being in another world, by understanding that the earth is absolutely no more, could not be clearer to the theme of a new beginning on Mars, a new beginning for humanity, and the theme of the other foot as well. That is allowing Bradbury to really isolate an African American population on Mars, as opposed to dealing with, let's say, a current situation where, we live together, side by side, etc., more interaction. So here we're going to be repeating some of the same thing, but now we're going to be focusing more on setting. Okay, so this is Mars and Earth. Okay, Earth really is not important other than the fact that it's gone. So why does it take place in that time? Well, this is the genre of science fiction. It's our future, meant to reflect on the present. Why does it take place on Mars? Mars symbolizes a new planet, a new hope, and also allows our community of African Americans to be isolated in a new area. How does it contribute to the story? Well, it allows the readers to kind of reimagine something new instead of talking about the Earth that is already the way that it is. The Earth is, as we learn at the end, gone, and so really there is no more hope for humanity on Earth, but really in this new place, Mars. That is a new beginning that Bradbury wants us to think about today. How perhaps can we get there? This allows the reader to go to another place in our mind, to a new place, an imaginary place, but still a very potentially real place where even though there's these issues that are happening, we can still hope that something better can come of it, and we can think about the setting in terms of being Mars as being something, again, which is new. And the Earth being gone also influences the reader. In fact, there's no going back unless we want to do to Mars what we did to Earth. So let's be smart this time around. The theme, as I mentioned already a couple of times, I think you really need to go back to the title, The Other Foot. So it's a story of trying to put the reader into into somebody else's shoes. Written in 1949, as I mentioned before, there was a civil rights movement. So Bradbury was saying to his readers, why don't you reflect on the reality of oppression, racism, discrimination, and segregation, the effects that have on a society, not only on the African Americans and the injustice to them, but it also destroys, all other parts of the society that have to do with it. It's just brings us back to the old white man at the end. That's just, in my opinion, a real symbol of a dead, decaying, and old culture, a segregationist, racist culture. Well, he wants us to learn and remember the themes of moving on, the themes of the future, the themes of grappling with revenge, with hope, and the fact that we really do need to move on, that injustice is not a cure for injustice. Two wrongs don't make a right, as they say in English. Now, the plot really develops this theme very well because we have Hattie and Willie, both of them grappling, and then other members of the community and the children too, that are interesting when it comes here, as that they have no idea, they have no experience that Willie and the other members of the community had for this racial discrimination. They're excited to see the white man, whereas Willie now is saying, well, you really shouldn't be excited because you don't know everything that we did. And so all of this past comes back over here to the setting and the theme. Well, this is clearly Mars, and it's a new beginning. It's in the future where the Earth is gone. And, well, what are we going to do? Okay, humanity is going to move on now. Humanity needs to do something better. Now, the adjectives, the nuance, and the dialogue allows us to get to know the characters and their points of view, allows us to be in their shoes, in their minds and in their hearts and in their fears and in their hopes. The adjectives and the nuance are used to integrate the reader, to make it as real as possible, as vivid as possible, as much as possible in these people's shoes. This helps build the theme because Bradbury goes very far to get the reader as deep as he can into the psychology of of our characters, and that really does contribute to the other foots. So how does it feel, you know? Are you able to really feel that? The anger, the tension, the want for revenge, and then at the end, that famous paragraph I'll show you in a second. Contributes to the story by allowing the reader, first of all, with the nuance, to be engaged. Okay, so Bradbury is not somebody who tells you what to think. He guides you. Okay, he takes you to these places and encourages you to think for yourself, to come to your own conclusions and to understand. You have to stop and think about Bradbury. Bradbury's not going to make things clear, very clear. But this contributes to the story by making it something that it's easy for the reader to get involved in. It's easy for the reader to see. It's easy for the reader to portray, to experience, to feel. Okay, a lot of feeling in this story. And this influences the reader by making him or her much more part of the story and intensely, you know, related and living and breathing these people and how they feel. And again, that goes to our theme. Well, the other foot, this is how they feel, and then, well, this is what we must do to move on. Again, I see Bradbury as a word painter. Okay, he's a poet, and he uses the adjectives, the adverbs, the similes, and the metaphors to bring the reader into the imagination, into the story, and into the theme to make it more effective. He tells us a story. Okay, he takes us by the hand and he walks us through his story to his climax and then to his end. When it comes to why I chose this extract, number one, it's the end. Number two, it's very significant in terms of theme. What I wanted you to comment on this paragraph over here is that the use of repetition. Okay, so we have, for example, rather than saying the earth is gone, well, no. The hard men gone, the stables, the iron smith, the curio shops, the soda fountains, the gin mills, the river bridges, the lynching trees, the buckshot-covered hills, the roads, the cows, the mimosas. Why? Well, there's nothing of it left to hate. Not an empty brass gun shell, twisted hemp, or a tree, or a hill of it to hate. It is much more effective than just saying the earth is gone. Bye-bye. Well, no, really. I mean, every single memory, every single hate, every single thing that Willie is remembering, his people are remembering, the hanging trees and the roads and the houses and the people, okay, and the porches and the autumn and everything. It's just, this paragraph is meant to make it very clear to the reader that the earth, in fact, really is completely and utterly destroyed. So we have the use of the word gone again and again and again. Nothing, nothing, nothing. Okay? Gone, 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 never coming back. And this is a poetic device, as I mentioned. He's a poet. And so really here in this paragraph, as you're reading it, the reader is pointed out every single solitary thing. So it's very, very clear and very vivid in your mind that all of those hateful memories, all of that pain, really the good, the bad, and the ugly are just gone. Like literally, absolutely, positively gone and destroyed and non-existent. When I asked you about this over here, well, I thought it was quite beautiful here that his fingers were opening. There was an opening in Willie's mind and his soul. And this rope that he had brought with him to hang, the white people coming, okay, to release it fell, and it coiled upon itself along the ground. So to coil is basically to go into this kind of circle thing over here, and it's being dropped. And his hate is being dropped, and something new, a new start for everyone, okay, which leads us really quite clearly to the theme. All right, and then again, we have the ending, all right. And yes, sir, etc. So it seems like for the first time today, I really seen the white man. I seen him clear. Well, finally, there's an acceptance of who these people are. Now they're people. Now they're suffering. Now they're coming. They're asking for help. And yeah, okay, we've seen where this culture leads. This culture of segregationism, this culture, racist culture. It's going to lead to that. And whether in the highway, it's the same type of thing. You look at how the Americans are behaving. It's the behavior that we need to think about that brings us to the society that we live in. So those were the things that would have given you more or less a 10 out of 10. Not all in details, etc., but those were the main elements that I'm looking for here.